Ramadan करते हैं चुप हो गया Alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm fine. It's a question.
Yes.
In Pakistan,
Bismillah.
when we were Sahir time, it was finishing at Azan Fajr. But here I have seen the word Imsak.
Yes.
So Imsak means 10 minutes before Fajr.
Imsak doesn't mean 10 minutes before Fajr. Imsak just means that you stop before Fajr. Okay, because what you have to do is you have to do ihtiyat. In the sense that if you continue to eat, you might eat into Fajr time. And if you eat into Fajr time, then that means that your roza is broken. So because of that, if you stop 10 minutes before Fajr time, then you know for a fact that, you know what, you're not eating into Fajr time. So imsak is, even in Pakistan, it should have been there that, you know what, ihtiyatan, you should stop. Maybe they didn't use the word imsak, but maybe they did say ihtiyatan, you should stop 10 minutes before or 5 minutes before, you know, the time for Fajr. Maybe they didn't use the word imsak. Okay, but imsak is there as a precautionary measure. Okay, as a precaution. You can go past it if you want, but it's there as a precautionary measure. So then, meaning that if you stop eating at that time of imsak, that basically is 10 minutes before Fajr, then you know for a fact that, hey, you haven't gone into Fajr. Okay? And what that, why is it 10 minutes? If you ask why is it 10 minutes, why isn't it 5 minutes? No, it's just 10 minutes because by the time you're done, you know, brushing your teeth and everything, 10 minutes is up and then you're done. Okay? That's why, but it doesn't have to be 10 minutes. Okay? Imsak is just ikhtiyatan. Okay? If you can guarantee that, hey, you know what, if you can guarantee yourself that that I'm not going to eat during Fajr time, then you can go past imsak if you want. But you have to make sure, you have to be certain that you're not eating within the Fajr time. And like, I'm sure you're aware that for Fajr time, there's always at least a 1, 2, 3 minute discrepancy. That's why they say, you know, wait at least 3 minutes after this time, just as a guarantee that yes, Fajr, real Fajr has come in.
Actually, for me, I am telling you honestly, I am not feeling hunger and thirst at all from up to the Aftar also. So for me, it is. But I was checking that sometime my family members.
Sure.
So for that, I was thinking that I should make it sure. Because here I am not, because in our country, you know, there is a hot summer over there.
Yeah, yes.
But here we are
Perfectly,
we are
yeah.
not, we are
Air
very
conditioned houses,
comfortable.
yeah, everything's
Very
perfect, yeah.
comfortable.
Now, if you don't get hungry and thirsty for Sahri, and you don't get hungry and thirsty for iftar, then maybe you need to go to the doctor and ask them why you don't get hungry.
Actually, no, that I am doing.
That's it?
I have continuously, because all doctors, yes, you know already. No, that is not the reason. Actually, that is, I will say something which is from God.
Yeah.
Because before Ramadan, we are feeling how we will feel it, how we will do it. But it's so much habitual we are that we are now, maybe even work now. So from our side, we are not feeling that. In Pakistan also, I spent 3 years and 3.5 years. So it is like namaz, then fasting. So
Yeah.
everything is like a regular life.
Yeah. No, yeah. So,
More than that, it is not. Yes.
yeah, no, imsak is just ihtiyat, that's it. And the best thing to do is ihtiyat. The best thing to do is take precaution because you don't want to, you know, eat while you're supposed to fast because then you'll have to make up the fast after Ramadan.
After iftar, at least we have to do, I think, three in Maghrib namaz, but I am doing the sunnahs also. There are two, and then I'm breaking the.
It's better that before you break your fast you do your Maghrib namaz.
Yeah, that I'm doing.
Okay.
And then two also we have the sunnah two rakats.
Yes, the Rafila prayers. Yes.
Yes, and then.
Yeah. Because by the time, like over here, by the time we're done with Maghrib and Isha, then it's completely dark outside. Then we can really eat, right? Because then we know the Quranic verse says what? Siyam ila layl. Okay, fast until night. And in Arabic language, layl it has a specific meaning, and that's when the blackness, the darkness starts coming. So when we're done with Maghrib and Isha, then it's dark.
No, you start, then you start at 7. Okay. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. ए रब्बे जहां पंजतने पाक का सदका इस कौम का दामन गम शबीर से भर दे बच्चों को अता कर अली असगर का तबस्सुम बूढ़ों को हबीब इब्ने मज़ाहिर की नजर दे कमसिन को मिले वलवले ओनो मोहम्मद हर एक जवान को अली अकबर का जिगर दे अरे माओं को मिले सानिए जहरा का सलीका बहनों को सकीना की दुआओं का असर दे जो पर्दे ज़ैनब की अज़ादार है मौला महफूज रहे ऐसी ख़वातीन के पर्दे मौला तुझे ज़ैनब की असीरी की कसम है बेजुर्म असीरों को रिहाई की खबर दे जो दीन के काम आए वो औलाद अता कर जो मजलिस शब्बीर की खातिर हो वो घर दे अरे मुफलिस पे जरो लालो जो हिर की हो बारिश मकरूज का हर कर्ज अदा गैब से कर दे गम कोई न दे हमको सिवाय गम शब्बीर शब्बीर का गम बांट रहा है तू इधर दे ए रब्बे जहां पंजतने पाक का सदका बहुत बड़ा सलवात भेजे Now I'm requesting Qibla Tayyib Musfi for his series of his lecture. बहुत बड़ा सलवात Yes, mashallah.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يسينا معه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخر ميدان أرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Brothers and sisters, before we get started, please recite Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of the people that provided tonight's iftar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد. اللهم اغفر وارحم واسكنهم بجوار اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's human nature that when man does not know something, they go and they ask those that do not, or they go and they ask those that do have an answer. For example, if I don't know something, and if I'm a student, I don't know something, I go to a teacher and I ask them about it. If I'm a child and I don't know about something, I'll go to the parent and I'll ask them. And if I'm an adult who doesn't know anything about a specific task, I'll go to someone who knows about that task and ask them. When it comes to the topic of taqleed, which is an important topic in the Shia school of thought, there are a lot of Shias that have a problem with this taqleed. Why is it necessary? Or they have questions. Why do we need to do taqleed? Why is it necessary that we do taqleed? This is the age of technology, the age of internet. We can find our answers online. Why do we need to follow, or why do we need to imitate a marja? And because of this, people feel that if we're doing taqleed, if we're following, if we're imitating a marja, that means what? We're completely bound by what this marja is saying. But what they don't understand is taqleed in which part of the religious aspect are you doing taqleed in? Taqleed comes from the word qalada. Qaladatu. Taqleed comes from this root. This root, in just the parlance of the general public, it means what? It means to put something around the neck. Qaladatu. That means that something was put around the neck. And taqleed comes from this. And many people, they look at this meaning, this general meaning of qaladatu, and they say this is exactly what taqleed does. It puts a rope around our neck and we go everywhere that the muqallad, meaning the marja, takes us. But they don't understand that that rope is also around that muqallad's neck. They don't understand that. There's a rope that goes from the Imam of the time, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Imam of the time, around the neck of the marja. They don't understand that. Meaning what? It's their duty to make sure that the masail that they're giving, the answers that they're giving, it's their duty to make sure that those are correct. They themselves have to do what? They themselves are bound by the Quran. They themselves are bound by the hadith. So is there not something that's around their neck also? There is. Because they're bound by the Quran, they're bound by the hadith, they're bound by these primary sources. So when it comes to taqleed, they're trying to get, taqleed is basically what? Taqleed is what this person, everything that this person has done in their life, meaning the effort that this person has put in into coming out with a fatwa, is known as ijtihad. Ijtihad. All the effort that's put in is known as ijtihad. This ijtihad, people say that this didn't exist in the time of the Imams. This existed after the ghaybat of Imam Zaman al-Islam. Ijtihad did not exist after the ghaybat of Imam Zaman al-Islam. Marja'iyat, yes. Marja'iyat, this concept of marja'iyat, it came into existence after the ghaybat of Imam Zaman. But when it came to ijtihad, it existed in the time of the Imams too. But then if that's true, then why did the Shias not do taqleed of a mujtahid at that time? There was no need to. Why? Because at that time, the actual source of knowledge, meaning the Imam, was present. Because the Imam was present, there was no need for the Shias to do taqleed. They would get their answers directly from the Imam. They get their answers directly from the Imam. But in the time of the ghaybat of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, there's a need for us to follow someone that is learned. Follow someone that is the most learned. And inshallah, we'll get to what the conditions that Imam Zaman alayhi salam himself, he put down about who we should follow. Should we follow anyone, for example, that has a turban on their head? No. Should we follow anyone that just comes to the minbar and starts reciting? No. Imam Zaman alayhi salam, he himself, he put conditions. Who should you follow? Who should you imitate? And we'll get to that. But when it comes to taqleed itself, we see that in just the daily life, we do taqleed, but we don't realize that we're doing taqleed. If taqleed means to follow, if taqleed means to imitate, when you want to go to a place and you turn on your GPS, what are you doing? When you turn on your GPS, you follow everything the GPS tells you to do. You're actually doing taqleed of the GPS, meaning you're following what the GPS tells you to do. When you want to build a house, you don't know how to build a house. You go to a builder. The builder tells you exactly what needs to be done, and you go through with that. What have you done? You've done taqleed of the builder. You've done taqleed of the builder. You go to a doctor. The doctor tells you, or he gives you a prescription, and he tells you if you take this medication for that certain ailment, you'll get better. You do what the doctor tells you. What have you done? You've done taqleed. You go to a lawyer because there's a case, and the lawyer tells you, oh, this needs to be done, and you do that. You listen to the lawyer and you do exactly what they tell you. What have you done? You've done taqleed. All of this is us doing taqleed in daily life. Daily life. When it comes to our bodily aspect, we do taqleed of a doctor. But in religion of Islam, the body is not the only thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. He also gave us a soul. So when it comes to these things that ail the soul, who do we need to refer to? When we don't know about, or we don't know how to fix our soul, that means that what? We naturally want to refer to someone that does know. And this is exactly why we do taqleed of a marja. They know how to fix whatever ails the soul. The same way a doctor knows how to fix whatever it is that is harming the body, these marja, these mujtahideen, they know how to fix whatever is making the soul sick. But it's odd that we do taqleed in our daily life. We never question us doing taqleed of that GPS. We never question us doing taqleed of the doctor. We never question us doing taqleed of the lawyer. We never question us doing taqleed of the builder. But when it comes to doing taqleed of the spiritual guide, we question. Why is that? In the worldly aspect, we realize that we don't know all of this. So we get help from this. But when it comes to the spiritual aspect, everyone sits thinking that, oh, we know the most. We don't need help with this. Why? Taqleed happens in all aspects of life. When will taqleed, the way we practice it today, when will it stop? When the Imam of the time appears. But does that mean that ijtihad will stop? No. Ijtihad will continue. Ijtihad, what did I say was ijtihad? The effort that you put in to come out with rulings. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. He himself, he says, what? Our job is to tell you the primary rulings from the primary sources. Your job is to get out the secondary rulings. To who? To his students. The secondary rulings. Primary rulings and primary sources are what? The primary sources that we have are the Quran. The primary sources that we have are Hadith. The primary sources that we have are Ijma in terms of the Ahlul Bayt have to be part of that. Primary source that we have is aqal. These are the four that we have. And the Sunnis, they add one more to it. But the four that we have. Qiyas, yes, thank you so much. The Ahlul Bayt, they tell you that it's our job to tell you the primary. It's your job to get out the secondary. It's your job to get out the secondary. In the time of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, in the time of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, in the time of these Imams, they had companions that were so dutiful to them, they were so bound to them, that the Imams themselves, they told them to go sit in the masjid and give out fatwas. For example, I was having this discussion, a companion of Imam Muhammad Baqir, Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Jafar Sadiq by the name of Aban ibn Taghlib. Imam Muhammad Baqir, he told him, I want you to sit in the masjid of Rasul and I want you to give out fatwas. Who gives out a fatwa in our school of thought? A mujtahid. A mujtahid. Why is the Imam, who's a masoom, he's masoom, why is he telling a non-masoom to give fatwas? Why? Because the Imam knows that he's trained them enough where he can give out those fatwas. He's trained, he's put in enough effort to bring out those fatwas. Ijtihad has always existed in the times of the Imams. But there was never any need for any of the Shias of that time to refer to whoever was a mujtahid at that time. Why? Because they had direct access to the Imam. They had direct access. And what did Imam say to Aban? Aban, I want you to give out fatwas in the masjid. Why? Because I like to see my Shias that are like you. I love to see my Shias that are like you. Like what? Someone who knows the fiqh. Someone who studied the religion. They're not just bringing out answers out of their pocket. When they say something, this is the source. The Imam, I heard from him. The Imam has said this. The Imam has said this. This is the same thing with the Maraja. When they're giving us a fatwa, it's not that they've taken it out of their pocket. No. They say this, we have this hadith. We have this verse of the Quran. We have all of this. And based on this, we're giving you this fatwa. But many people don't understand that. And all they see taqleed as is something that is around our neck, and that's it. And we go wherever the muqallad takes us. Muqallad is the person whose taqleed is being done. Muqallid, with the zir or kasra underneath, is the person that is doing the taqleed. Muqallad is the marja. Muqallid is the one that is doing the taqleed. So they look at this and they say, we're just followers. You're followers, but followers in what? Followers in just the fiqh of Islam. That's it. When it comes to usul ad-din, there is no following. When it comes to faro ad-din, yes, there is following. Why is that there is no following when it comes to usul ad-din? Because Islam has emphasized that when it comes to the asas of the religion, when it comes to tawheed, you come to the conclusion yourself that tawheed is an actuality. You come to that conclusion yourself. Adalat, you come to that conclusion. Nabuwat, you come to that conclusion. Imamat, you come to that conclusion. Qayamat, you come to that conclusion yourself. You don't say, I believe in tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because Falan person has told me to believe in it. No, you don't say that. It's not acceptable within Islam itself. Why were the mushrikeen of Makkah, why was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry with them? Whenever the Holy Prophet would talk about tawheed, what would they say? They'd say what? We're on the religion, we believe in what our ancestors believed in. They didn't think for themselves. What did they do? They just believed in polytheism. Why? Because their ancestors believed in it, meaning that it's been given to them throughout the generations. When it comes to the usul ad-din, Islam is completely against this. Islam says when it comes to the usul ad-din, the bunyad of Islam, every single individual, it's necessary for every single individual to come to the conclusion themselves and not say, I believe in tawheed because my father believes in tawheed. I believe in nabuwwat because my father believes in nabuwwat. I believe in imamate because my father believes in imamate. No, you come to the conclusion yourself. So where is taqleed? Where does it lie? Taqleed lies in the laws of Islam. That's it. And what people don't understand is that taqleed is not the first option for a person. Taqleed is the last option. What do I mean? In Islam, if you pick up any marja's book and you look at Bab al-Taqleed, the very first Bab, it says you have three options. One option is that you yourself know the laws of Islam, you yourself have enough knowledge of Islam, Islamic law, that you yourself are a marja, meaning that you read enough that you yourself become a marja. One. If that's not possible, then what do? You look at the laws of a few maraja and then you act on precaution, you act on ihtiyat. If that's not possible either, then the simplest thing for you to do is follow a marja. Taqleed is the last option, not the very first option. Living in the society that we live in, what are we forced to deal with? What are we left with? The very last option. Why? I'm busy with work. I'm busy with school. I don't have time to look at I don't have time to get enough Islamic knowledge where I myself can derive Islamic laws from the Quran or the Hadith. I don't have that time. Okay? And I also don't have enough time where I can look at the works of a few maraja and do ihtiyat. Why? Because then I need to read the Risala Amaliya of 3, 4, 5, 6 maraja and come to a consensus and say, okay, this is what ihtiyat is. I don't have that time. If you don't have the time for either of them, then the last option for you to do is taqleed. The last option for you to do is follow. And this is exactly what we do. I don't have the time to become a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, and all of this. I don't have that time. If I'm a doctor, when it comes to architect, I'll follow an architect. An architect will follow a doctor when it comes to medicine. They don't have the time to become all of these. And it's the same case. If we don't have this time, then we follow someone who took out time out of their life to become experts in that field. So when the maraja are experts in their field, 50, 60, 70, some of them 80, 90 years of their life. I don't follow this marja. I don't follow them. Why? Okay, you don't follow a specific marja, but I don't believe in taqleed. You don't believe in someone who specialized in religious studies? You don't believe in that? You don't believe that someone has specialized in the fiqh of Islam? If people can specialize in medicine itself, where they become specialists in the heart, where they become specialists in the lungs, where they become specialists in the kidneys, why can't someone become a specialist when it comes to the fiqh of Islam? Why can't they become specialists? I don't believe in it. Nowadays, what's happened is, especially the youngsters, because of technology, they'll just go online and they'll get a fatwa. And they say, look, we don't need to do taqleed. We have all the answers in front of us. We have the internet, we have the answers. But what they don't understand is that the answer you're getting is the answer of a certain marja. The answer that you're getting is the answer of a marja. The answer you're getting is the answer of someone who has done ijtihad. So even then, you're following what? You're following what that person has told you to do. Even then, you're doing taqleed. Even then, you're doing taqleed. Now we have stuff like ChatGPT, AI, and all of this. It's the same exact concept. You ask a question, it gives you an answer. It'll give you an answer based on what? Based on a fatwa of a certain marja. If you follow that fatwa, then you're doing taqleed of that marja. I don't want to go into detail about why we can only do taqleed of one marja. Why can't we do taqleed of a couple of different maraja? At the end of the day, if two doctors prescribe you two different medications, who will you accept? You yourself will be somewhat confused, or you yourself will accept the medication from that doctor that you believe to be more learned. You're either in confusion or you'll accept the medication from that doctor who you believe to be more learned. But will you get the medication of both the doctors? No, because what can happen? The medication, one medication that this doctor has prescribed, it can have side effects based on the medication that other doctor prescribed. So what will you do? You'll either talk to the pharmacist and see, hey, is there a side effect of these medications or no? This is the reason that why the Maraja said taqleed of only one person. Why? So this doesn't happen to your soul. One marja says this is the best way to fix your soul. Another marja says this is the best way to fix your soul. If you just choose one marja and you follow them, the same way if you just choose one doctor and follow them, what's going to happen? The same way your body will be at ease, that same way your soul will be at ease. But when you have so many different commanders, what happens to the soldiers? They don't know from who they should take their command from. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When it comes to this concept of ijtihad, when it comes to this taqleed itself, in the time of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, 20,000, 30,000 students, 30,000 students, according to some narrations, 20,000 students, according to other narrations. Were they all Shia? No. The ones that studied underneath the 5th Imam, underneath the 6th Imam, they all had different faiths. They had different philosophies. There were people that were even atheists, that were people of ilm kalam, that just wanted to come and learn the fun of kalam from the Imam. So what did the Imam do? Imam himself, he had some of his companions that he told them to specialize in certain fields. He had one companion who was a specialist in debate. He had one companion who was a specialist in chemistry. And we all know him, the students of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, who? Jabir bin Hayyan. Jabir bin Hayyan, even today, they talk about him in chemistry classes. Even when I was in university, they were talking about him being the father of chemistry. What's sad is that Jabir, he used to always say, my master Jafar Sadiq has said this. My master Jafar Sadiq has said this. The Western world, they've left the master and they've held on to the servant. They've left the master, they've held on to the servant. If they just read everything that Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam talked about when it came to science, they'll realize themselves, and this has happened, where the truth is with this school of thought and this religion. But Imam, he had his companions specialize in certain fields. For example, Jabir, he was a specialist in chemistry. One of his companions was a specialist in debate. One of the companions was a specialist in fiqh. One of the companions was a specialist in usul ad-din. One of the companions, he was a specialist in what? Ilm kalam. One of the companions, he was a specialist in what? Proving imamat. He had specialists. His companions, they specialized. When it came to debating, a person from Syria, he comes to the Imam and he says to him, the Imam, that I want to debate with you. I want to debate with you. The Imam, he looks at his companion and he tells him, you debate with him. The Imam, he looks at his companion and he tells him, you debate with him. And when he says this, the man who came from Syria, he asked him a question. When he asked him a question, the man, he answered. When the man answered, the man from Syria, he tells him, are you willing to give me zamanat? Are you willing to say that, yes, what you've said is true? Meaning shoulder, are you willing to take the burden of what you said to be true? Are you willing to take that burden? And the companion, he was quiet. He asked again, are you willing to shoulder the burden of what you said is true? On the day of judgment, if it's wrong, are you willing to take the burden? He was quiet again. When the man asked the third time, that's when Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, yes, he will take the burden. Whoever gives a fatwa, he will be burdened on the day of judgment. So you tell me, is it easy for you to follow, or is it easy to give out the fatwas? It's easier to follow. It's easier to follow. When these marajid are giving out fatwas, on the Day of Judgment they'll be asked. What do I mean? There's a book, Qususul Ulama. In this, it has stories of ulama, stories that the ulama have talked about. This alim, he says that he saw in his dream that it's the Day of Judgment and people are lined up to go through the gates of heaven. He sees that there's one line that is very long, but the people, they're going in quickly. And the other line is very short, but that line is taking its time. The line that is going quickly by the door is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Islam. The line that's going quickly by the door is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Islam. The line that is going very slowly, on the head of it, is Imam Jafar Sadiq al-Islam. This guy was an alim. He was an alim. He leaves the line that was going really slowly and he goes into the line that's going very quickly. When he gets to the front, Imam, he looked at him, he goes, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Mullah, I'm one of yours." He goes, "Yes, all of these people, they're one of mine. All of these people, they're one of mine. But you were an alim. You considered yourself to be an alim. Go to my son, Jafar Sadiq's line, he will test you and he will account for everything that you've done. He will account. It's harder to be up here. It's harder to lead the prayers. It's harder to do anything else than to follow." Both of them, they're azadars of Abu Abdullah Hussein al-Islam. The more knowledge you have about religion, the harder it is for you on the Day of Judgment. The Maraja in our school of thought, they have what? The most amount of knowledge. So they'll be asked about everything that they've done. If you read, for example, Ayatollah Khomeini, his son, he saw his father in his dream. And he himself, he says, "My father told me, when they were asking me questions, they asked me why I took my finger from here to here." That's how much detail they were asking me in. That's how much detail. Will it be like that for the followers? No. The more knowledge you have, the higher your status when it comes to the religion of Islam, the more in depth that you will be asked. So you ask yourself, do you want to get to that level or no? If you don't, then by all means, taqleed is your answer, which is practical, which isn't against human nature. Human nature itself, it says when we don't know something, we go find out from someone that does. And when they tell us what it is, we accept it if it's true and we follow it. That's human nature. That's exactly what taqleed is. Taqleed isn't something that is against human nature. So this idea, I don't do taqleed, I just do what Imam Zaman. I follow Imam Zaman alayhi salam. I don't do taqleed, I follow Imam Zaman. You follow Imam Zaman, mashallah. I don't do taqleed. The Quran is enough. I don't do taqleed. The Quran is enough. You have these types of people too. I don't do taqleed. The Quran is enough. The hadiths are enough. The Quran is enough. The differences that the Shia and Sunni have, isn't that over the interpretation of the Quran? I don't even know how to read Arabic, let alone understand Arabic. And for me, the Quran is enough? That I don't need to do taqleed? If you look at the difference of opinions about the ulama, where are they coming from? The sources are the same, but they've come to different conclusions. So when someone who has spent 40, 50, 60, 70 years of their life researching a topic, when they've come to different opinions, how is it you who just read the Quran in 1 year come to a conclusion that, yes, this is what I need to do? Taqleed is important. Taqleed is in Faru ad-Din, not Usul ad-Din. Am I saying that it's important than Usul ad-Din? No. Faru ad-Din are what? Always the branches. Usul are the roots. The Faru will never be more important than the roots. What do I mean? Without the roots, the Faru mean absolutely nothing. If you don't even believe in namaz, which is one of the asas, the bunyad of religion, if you don't believe in namaz, can you say that you do taqleed? What do you do taqleed of? Taqleed is for namaz. If you don't believe in roza, you don't believe in fasting, you do taqleed of. What do you do taqleed of? What do you do taqleed of? When it comes to the usul ad-din, there's no taqleed. And the problem that we've had now is where they've taken taqleed and they've made it, or they've had it supersede the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Taqleed is important, but there is nothing that supersedes the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Nothing. So if people are telling you, this supersedes the wilayat of, no, it does not. If people are taking taqleed to the status of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, then they've done what? According to some narrations, that's shirk. To bring others at the same level. In fact, this is the ziyarat of Imam Muhammad Taqi, Imam Ali al-Naqli, I'm sorry. In his ziyarah, what did he say? Anyone that brings people to the equalness of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they've committed shirk. They've committed kufr. To bring others to that same level, that's kufr. In Islam, you keep everything where it belongs. When you start mixing it and you realize that this is exactly what is happening in this society that we live in. In the society that we live in. We live in a society that can't even give us the definition of a male and female. They can't even give us the definition of a male and female now. This is something that everyone needs to understand. There's some things that this culture is trying to impose on the individual, which is un-Islamic. When it becomes un-Islamic, then you have to stand up and talk out against it. When it becomes un-Islamic, if it's going hand in hand with Islam, you don't need to say anything. There's no need to say anything. Why? Because it's the exact same thing that Islam is saying. But when it's saying something that is un-Islamic, for example, about the types of surgeries that they're forcing children to get now. I'm sure you guys are all aware of what I'm talking about. About the types of surgeries that they're forcing children to get now. This is un-Islamic. People need to be aware that this is un-Islamic. And people need to do something about it. Talk out against it at the very least. What does the Holy Prophet say? If you see an injustice that's happening and if you can't do anything about it, at the very least, say something against it. If you can't say anything against it, at the very least, think something against it. We live in a society where we can say something against it. So it becomes necessary that we speak out against it. Why? So the children can know that this type of thought that is coming into the society, this is un-Islamic. Keep it outside of Islam. And this is absolutely wrong. And I'm sure the youngsters know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking to specifically for them because I know what they're teaching in school. I know what they're teaching in the kindergartens. I know what they're teaching from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. So they need to be aware of what is Islamically permissible and what is Islamically not. If I was to tell you about these types of operations that are being done, the gender change operations, in the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, in the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, a Khawarij, he came and he cursed Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam Hassan alayhi salam, all he said was, get out of here, you're na mahram. This was a man. All Imam Hassan said was, leave. You're in the wrong gathering. You're not a man, leave this gathering. This is all he said. The man goes back. The wife comes the next day. And she cries to Imam Hassan, she says, Mullah, turn him back. Change him back. That tells you what? That tells you that that type of operation, that type of changing from one gender to another was a punishment of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Was a punishment. And in the society that we're living in, it's saying, no, it's a choice. It's not a choice. So I asked the parents that the schools that the children are going to, if these types of topics are being brought up, by all means, attend those parent conferences. I know you guys are busy. I know everyone's busy. But it becomes necessary for the parents to attend those conferences so they can talk about with the administration what needs to happen, what doesn't need to happen. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Well, I know I have about 5 minutes, and I'll end my lecture. But in terms of taqleed, brothers, sisters, especially the younger brothers that are here, do not think of taqleed as something that is imposed on you. That's not what it is, because you practice it every day of your life, but you just don't realize that you practice it. Why? Because no one's explained to you that, yes, this is exactly what you're doing. This is exactly what you're doing. Once you realize it, then you understand that, yes, this is just common sense. We need to do this. It doesn't matter which marja's taqleed that you do, as long as you do the taqleed of a marja right now. If you ask the people of Qum, if you ask the people of Najaf whose taqleed that you should do, most of them will say, the maraja that are here, if you do any one of their taqleed, it's fine. If you do any one of their taqleed, it's fine. So you have maraja to choose from. By all means, choose them, whoever you think. After asking the ulama, which one do you think is the most knowledgeable? If they give you an answer, by all means, if you trust their answer, you can follow their answer. But right now, in the absence of Imam Zaman, taqleed is a necessity. Taqleed is wajib. And taqleed of who? I said I was going to come back to that. Imam Zaman, after he went into his ghaibat, in his ghaibat al-kubra, after his fourth na'ib passed away, he said, the deputyship is not khas anymore, it's am. Meaning my deputyship is going to be am. And I want my followers to follow I want my Shias to follow amongst those muhaddiseen, those of my people that give out hadith, that have taqwa. 1, taqwa. 2, that have renounced the world. Renounce the world in what? They're not looking for fame. They're not looking for money. Meaning, I'm mujtahid now, khums money is going to come to me because I have my risal amali. They're not looking for money. They're not looking for fame. No. They themselves, they protect themselves from the haram. Not only just the haram, but they do their best to protect themselves from the makruhat. If you find someone like that, then you can listen to them. Then you can follow them. Then you can follow them. The maraja that we have today, alhamdulillah, there aren't any that are doing it just for money. There aren't any that are doing something haram. All of them, they're trying to even avoid the things that are makruh. So when the Imam has said that you follow one of them, then it becomes necessary for us to follow them. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He keeps us on this path of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He hastens the reappearance of Imam Zaman. Let us, our families, and everyone that wants to sacrifice their life for Him and His cause be able to sacrifice their life for Him and His cause. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this community before, because these are my last 2-3 days, I leave on Wednesday. Before anything, the next couple of days, I will be thanking everyone for inviting me here, because as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you do not thank my servants, then you have not thanked me. If you have not thanked my servants, then you have not thanked me. So I thank all of you for inviting me here for these lectures, and I, inshallah, hopefully you all benefited from these lectures. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this community, it continues to benefit from all of the ulama that come here. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the youngsters that are in this community, they grow up and they're the ones that end up taking the standards of this center and making it go further than the previous generation. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, we have about 4 or 5 minutes for Salatul Maghrib. If you need to do wuzu, please do your wuzu and get ready for Salatul Maghrib.
We have 10 minutes. You want to take any questions from anybody?
We have to, okay, I can take questions, no problem.
Anybody have any questions for Maulana for this taqleed? We can have 10 minutes right now for namaz. Anyone have any questions for taqleed? Qibla is here to answer you.
Why? Why would they have questions? They're all mujtahids. It's haram for a marja to the taqleed of another.
Quick question. What do you think about the partial?
What do I think? Look, we were having this discussion, and yeah, I think I'm going to calm down. Partial taqleed, it's know that whoever
हमारी कम्युनिटी में कुछ लोग बीमार हैं, उन्हें तो उनकी शफायाबी के लिए एक बुलंद सलवात भेजें। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद। किसी साहब का सेलफोन बाथरूम में था, तो वो ऑफिस में रखा है, ले लें।
एक सैयद समी अहमद बीमार हैं, पढ़ने का है, उनकी सेहतयाबी के लिए
आपका नाम दिया ना?
सैयद समी है।
उनके वालिद का नाम क्या है? नजर भाई कह रहे हैं उनके पास कोई दुआ सेहत आई है, सैयद समी अहमद के वालिद बहुत बीमार हैं, उनकी सेहत याबी के लिए बुलंद सलवात भेजें। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद।
नहीं आता है।
पाकिस्तान में
औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर रहीम। आज 25वीं शब है, 25वीं रमज़ान है, उसकी दुआ है ये। तबारकुल्लाहु अहसनुल खालिकीन, खालिकुल खल्क़ व मंशिअ सहाब व अमरुल रात अन यसब्ब लहु व तबारकुल्लज़ी बैदुल मुल्क व हुवा अला कुल्लि शैइन क़दीर अल्लज़ी खल्क़ुल मौत व अहवातिन लियब्लुकुम अय्युकुम अहसनु अमलन तबारकुल्लज़ी नज़्ज़लल फ़ुरक़ान अला अब्दिही लियकून लिल आलमीन नज़ीरन तबारकुल्लज़ी अंशा जअल लका खैरन मिन ज़ालिका जन्नातिन तजरी मिन तहतिहा अन्नहार व यजअल लका क़सूरन तबारकुल्लाहु अहसनुल खालिकीन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व आले मुहम्मद।
बंद नहीं आ जाओ। अभी एक मिनट अभी टाइम है 3 मिनट बैठ जाओ। 3 मिनट अभी नहीं हो 2023 की मेंबरशिप ड्यू हो गई है, तो प्लीज़ जिनकी मेंबरशिप नहीं आई है अब तक वो मेंबरशिप दे दें। और यहाँ पे तलत भाई मौजूद होते हैं और लेडीज़ में शेव आ हुई हैं, उनको मेंबरशिप दी जा सकती है। 250 है अभी, दे दें इस महीने, अगले महीने बढ़ने वाली है। फिर रमज़ान के बाद मीटिंग में बढ़ेगी, तो अभी आज दे दें तो फायदे में रहेंगे। नहीं बढ़ रही है, बाकी रमज़ान के बाद बीच बढ़ रही है, तो जो आज कल हम दे देंगे उनको फायदे में रहेंगे। बस 250 से जब बढ़ेगी तो सोचता 100 बढ़े, 200 बढ़े, 300 बढ़े, 150 बढ़े, पहले सही है। राजा भाई कह रहे हैं बाद में दें, ज़्यादा सवाब लें। हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल ले सकते हैं, बोले 300। नहीं नहीं सेम प्राइस पे नहीं। हाँ हाँ एक मिनट। और फितरे की रकम जो है वो $12 से $15 है, एहतियात $15 है, और 12 भी आप दे सकते हैं। और इंशाल्लाह हम लोग ईद के दिन जहाँ पे डब्बा रखा होगा उसमें आप डाल सकते हैं, और ऑनलाइन भी दे सकते हैं, चेक भी दे सकते हैं। वेबसाइट पे तो इन्होंने डिज़ाइन की हुई है तालिब ने, और उस पर आप मेंशन कीजिएगा जो फितरा जो दे रहे हैं आप, सैयद और नॉन सैयद को फिर तो आप जो है मेंशन करके फिर उसको दें आप उसको। जी हाँ, डब्बे 2 होंगे यहाँ पर, डब्बे 2 होते हैं हमेशा यहाँ पे। नमाज ईद इंशाल्लाह 9:30 पे शुरू हो जाएगी, आप लोग शिरकत करें। 9:30 पे नमाज ईद इंशाल्लाह होगी। बाकायदा आपको फॉर ईमेल मिल जाएगी, अभी ईमेल निकली नहीं है तो। वैसे हर साल 9:30 पे होती है, तो काफ़ी लोगों को पता है कि नमाज ईद यहाँ पे 9:30 पे होती है, तो इसलिए वो इसके लिए सबके लिए
तमाम मोमिनीन से गुजारिश है कि 5 मरतबा अम्मा ये जुबे पढ़ के जो मोमिन और मोमिनात तकलीफ़ में हैं उनकी सेहत याबी के लिए 5 मरतबा अम्मा ये जुबों का विरद कर दें।
अम्मा जी
يجيب المسترزا ويكفس أما يجيب المسترزا ويكفس يجيب المسترزا ويكفس بآواز बुलंद सलावत
तो टाइम क्या है? 48 50 50 नहीं है भाई, 48 नहीं है। हाँ अच्छा, अब मुख्तलिफ घड़ी सबके मुख्तलिफ टाइम आते हैं। आप 7 से वो आते हैं, ऑरेंज से, सबका टाइमिंग डिफरेंट आते हैं। पर ठीक है, 7:50 पे कोई जाफिर टाइम है, 7:50 पे इंशाल्लाह अजान होगी। एक सूरह फातिहा पढ़ दें अपने मरहूमीन के लिए, तमाम शोहदा मिलत जाफरिया के लिए, और उन पर पढ़ दें जिनमें कोई भी पढ़ने वाला नहीं है, उसके बाद फिर अजान देते हैं। क्या हुआ? अल्लाह केवल आप यहाँ तशरीफ लाए, पूरी कम्युनिटी आपको बहुत थैंक यू करती है कि आप माशाल्लाह रमजान तशरीफ लाए, तो एवरीवन इज थैंक्स फॉर यू। आज हो गया।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लु अलैहि वसल्लिमू तस्लीमा। अल्लाहु अकबर
अल्लाह अकबर।
Allahu Akbar.
अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन रसूलुल्लाह अन्ना मुहम्मदन रसूलुल्लाह अन्ना अमीरुल मोमिनीन इमामुल मुत्तक़ीन अलिय्यन वलियुल्लाह वसी रसूलुल्लाह व खलीफतहु बिला फस्ल।
اللهم صل على محمد
अन्ना
ومحمد.
अमीरुल मोमिनीन इमामुल मुत्तक़ीन अलिय्यन हुज्जतुल्लाह।
اللهم صل على
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله استغفر الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Azimi wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Samallahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Ya Rabbi. Sallallahu wa fi ad-din wa dunya wa al-akhirah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت رب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير وهذا شر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلت ولا شهور وهو شر الذي فرد السهام ألا وهو شر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس بينات من الهدى والفرقان وجعلت في ليلة القدر وجعلت خير من ألف شهر فيعطى المن ولا يمن عليك من الذي بك كرفة من النار ويمن تمن عليه وادخل الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وبه يقول بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد كذلك الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Azimi wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Sami Allahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Ya wali Allah, nas'aluka al-afiyya wa afiyat ad-din wa ad-dunya wa al-akhirah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم قل لوليك الحجة الحسن صلواتك لآخر الصلاة
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة
अस्सलाम वालेकुम खदीजतुल कुबरा उम्मुल मोमिनीन अस्सलाम वालेकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू अस्सलाम वालेकुम या गरीबल गुरबा अस्सलाम वालेकुम या मुइनज़ ज़ुफ़ा वल फ़ुक़रा अस्सलाम वालेकुम या शम्स शमूस या नीसन नफूस अस्सलाम वालेकुम अय्युहल मसफूल फिल अर्दि सुल्तान या अबल हसन या अली इब्न मूसा रज़ा राज़ी बिल क़द्र वल क़ज़ा अस्सलाम वालेकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू अस्सलाम वालेकुम या साहिबल असर वल ज़मान अलमान 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 मिन फितनतिज़ ज़मान अस्सलाम वालेकुम या शरीक अल कुरान अस्सलाम वालेकुम इमाम अल इंस वल जान अज्जरल्लाहु तआला फरजक व साहरल्लाहु तआला मखरजक व ज़हूरक अस्सलाम वालेकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।